Hello everyone, welcome back to our weekly market analysis video with me, Frankie, your market analyst at Markets4U. In today's video, we'll be looking at the key economic events and data releases from May 12 to May 16, 2025. I've already set up my screen to display the economic calendar from the traders room at Markets4U. I've set the dates from May 12 to May 16, covering this week's important events in GMT. Please remember to adjust to your respective time zones. Let's dive into this week's events. Tuesday starts with Australian Westpac consumer confidence and NAB business confidence, followed by UK employment data. The highlight will be US inflation figures, including core inflation rate and headline CPI data. The day concludes with Japanese PPI figures overnight. Wednesday brings Canadian building permits data, which typically has a moderate impact on the Canadian dollar. Thursday is packed with high-impact releases, including Australian employment data, UK GDP figures, Eurozone industrial production, and a barrage of US data including retail sales, PPI, initial jobless claims, and industrial production. The day concludes with Japanese GDP data overnight. Friday rounds off the week with US housing starts, building permits, and Michigan consumer sentiment. This week's key market-moving events will be the US inflation data on Tuesday and Thursday's US data releases, with retail sales and other indicators likely to create significant volatility. These releases should create significant opportunities across major pairs. Now, let's go to the technical analysis. This week, we'll focus on the Australian dollar against the US dollar and the US dollar against the Japanese yen, as both instruments face significant data releases in the coming days. Let's start with the Australian dollar against the US dollar. Looking at the daily chart, the Australian dollar is currently trading around 0.6408, having pulled back from recent highs. The pair faces multiple data releases this week, starting with Westpac consumer confidence and NAB business confidence on Tuesday, followed by the crucial employment data on Thursday. Looking at important levels, the Australian dollar has support at 0.6330 and 0.6243, while resistance can be found at 0.6487 and 0.6578. The price is currently trading near the 20-day moving average, the red line, which is acting as dynamic support. The stochastic oscillator is moving lower, suggesting potential for continued downside in the short term. With Australian unemployment expected to remain steady at 4.1% and employment forecast to rise by 20,000 jobs, any surprise in these figures could drive significant movement in the Aussie dollar. The 0.6330 support level will be particularly important to watch if we see weaker than expected data. Now, let's turn to the US dollar against the Japanese yen. On the daily chart, the dollar-yen pair has been showing signs of recovery, currently trading around 145.36. The pair faces Japanese PPI data on Tuesday night and the crucial preliminary GDP figures on Thursday night. Looking at important levels, the dollar against the yen has support at 143.72 and 141.98, while resistance stands at 146.87 and 148.69. The price is currently testing the 145.50 level after recovering from recent lows. The 20-day moving average now acts as dynamic support after previously becomes the dynamic resistance from above. The stochastic oscillator is showing bullish momentum, suggesting potential for further upside in the near term. Tuesday's US inflation data will also be crucial for this pair, as stronger than expected figures could support the dollar and push the pair toward the 146.87 resistance level. Conversely, softer inflation readings might see the pair retest the 143.72 support. Both instruments could see considerable volatility this week. Traders should be particularly cautious during Tuesday's US inflation release and Thursday's data-heavy session, as these events can cause sudden spikes in volatility and potential gap risks. Remember, always manage your risk carefully and never invest more than you can afford to lose. That's it for this week's analysis. See you in the next video.